10 days, 12 commitments, 6 graphics from Hayes Fawcett, 17,656 comments about how irrelevant Nebraska football is, and then today, Carter Nelson caps off this insane run in recruiting with the announcement that he's staying home. This staff's first class ranks 5th in the Big Ten and 20th nationally, but that'll obviously change since we're still months away from signing day. And I'm so used to seeing classes filled at the final hour that Rhule picking up 21 commitments before July was a shocker to me, and I'm guessing you too. Nelson's the headline, but this last week we watched a Matt Rhule masterclass on recruiting to your strengths. So today, we'll talk about Carter Nelson's commitment and how he got here and why missing on the 5-star quarterback sparked this insane June run. But what's up, guys? I'm Connor Hayden, and this is Corn Crazed. If you're a fan of Nebraska or the Big Ten, make sure you hit the subscribe button below so you don't miss any of the content I drop. And if you think Carter Nelson's got first-round potential, hit the like button and help us get to 1,000. But now, let's get into it.
Thompson winds up, goes deep, got a man, touchdown!
Just a month ago, if I would have told you that Nebraska would flip Daniel Kaelin from Mizzou, pick up his teammates Davon Hall and Isaiah McMorris from Bellevue West, and then land the #1 player in the entire state immediately after he took visits to Georgia and Notre Dame, would you have believed me? If you think back to May, Nebraska had just lost the #1 target on their board to Kirby Smart, and there were multiple names being thrown around for who the 2024 quarterback could be, and I don't remember seeing many people talking about the guy who actually committed, and really the one guy who turned out to be the key domino that sparked this whole stay-home movement. And yeah, I'm talking about Daniel Kaelin. There were a few commitments rolling in, and then out of nowhere, or at least what felt like nowhere, Hall and McMorris committed at the exact same time after it felt like Hall was going to Penn State or somewhere in the SEC. Do you get that duo without Kaelin flipping? I don't think so. But that wasn't the end of the excitement, because right after, the crystal balls for Carter Nelson started shifting from heavy Georgia to more of a 50-50, and it seemed like odd timing since Carter had just gotten back from visits to Georgia and Notre Dame, who are both tight end powerhouses with a track record for getting guys into the pros. And keep in mind, just 2 weeks ago, multiple people close to the situation were telling me that Georgia was probably out of it, but the new favorite was Notre Dame since they were closer to home and seemed to be a better fit. Which made total sense since they've sent 5 tight ends to the NFL in 5 years and they use them a ton in their offense. But then the recruiting momentum picks up in Lincoln, a ton of players come into town for a visit, and then on Saturday morning, Carter commits to Nebraska, and Rhule finally secured the #1 target on his board. But how did we get here, and how did they land the top 4 players in the state when the crystal balls were saying they were only going to get 2 of them? Let's rewind. Back in early spring, Carter had started to build a pretty strong connection with the 5-star who turned out to be a double-edged sword. I'm sure they had plenty of conversations about their future and hoping to play together, so when one of them picked Georgia, naturally, I assumed the other one was going to follow. Georgia already locked in the second best tight end in the country, but Carter didn't care because he's down to compete with anybody in that room, and regardless, last season, 2 of the top 4 receivers on Kirby's offense were tight ends. So where was the switch? What caused the crystal ball shift and ultimately the decision to stay home? Well, if his plan was to commit before he started his senior season, he set up his visits so he could see 2 of his favorite schools at the last minute and make the final decision right after that trip. But if you're a kid from a small town in Nebraska with only 1,600 people and you're on the road experiencing a whole other type of ego and attitude of this school that's coming off 2 national championships, I gotta guess that culture shock will hit you pretty damn hard. Shit, if your whole life has been spent at home in a tiny town and you start taking visits around the country away from your family, I'm guessing that'll give you second doubts about going far away for school too. Add in the fact that Kaelin and Hall both chose Nebraska over their SEC options, and the 10 new commitments from guys who share a similar vision, mindset, and core values that this staff prides themselves on, and we caught the perfect storm. But the reality is, it doesn't matter what the reason is. The only things that matter is that going into 2024, Nebraska could have the best tight end room in the country in terms of recruiting rankings. And for the first time since 2002, we could see at least one of them get drafted into the NFL. Even more important than that, we're learning that Matt Rhule's genuine personality and having a staff who believes in doing things the right way to build a strong foundation of the right kids with similar values is only going to help in all the future recruiting efforts. We keep talking about winning the offseason and how that doesn't actually matter until they win some games, but this is how you get those. Wins come when you can recruit the biggest, smartest, and fastest players who can fit into your scheme. And if these past 6 months have told us anything, it's that Matt Rhule isn't going to have any trouble finding guys who fit the culture, who want to be a part of the rebuild, and above all else, guys who want to win. Carter's a major add as a player, but he's also a huge marketing piece. He's ranked in the top 60 nationally and a borderline 5-star who's just barely scratching the surface of how good he can be since he hasn't even played at a big public school, let alone a football powerhouse. He was the number one target in this class for a reason, and hopefully a couple years from today, we're going to look back on this moment and finally know why. Let's talk about the class rankings, because depending on where you look, you're going to see different numbers. On3 says 20th nationally and 5th in the Big Ten. 24/7 says 14th overall and 4th in the Big Ten. And I know some fans like to pick and choose which rankings they follow based on who has their team ranked higher. But to keep things consistent on our channel, we're sticking with On3. Both Kalen and McMorris have a great shot at getting bumped up to 4 stars, and I guess there are a few more guys that will get added to this 2024 class. So if all that does happen, I guess they finish off ranked somewhere in the low 20s, and that's with no proof that they can win. Imagine what happens when they hit 7 wins or 9. Rhule's proven he can attract some of the better guys now, so imagine what his class looks like after a big season. But what's he really looking for in a player? Because it's felt like he's taken quite a few randoms with limited options. I think we've got 4 key points to look at. Number 1, if they're willing to sit on the bench and get developed without leaving for the portal. Number 2, if they want to be in Nebraska. Look back to all those Florida guys who dipped out almost immediately versus this class that's filled with almost all Texas and Nebraska kids who know what it's like to live in the Midwest. Number 3, if they're fit for the system. Rhule's got a unique philosophy for how he approaches the offseason, practice, preparation, and everything else. So if you're not willing to adjust or try something different, you probably don't want to be in Lincoln. And number 4, a fit for the scheme. Both sides of the ball need certain skill sets, size, and speed, and the belief is, at least by this staff, that if you have the right body type, the speed, and the mindset, you can be developed into an NFL player, whether you're a 5-star or a walk-on. Just look at the NFL's leader in sacks. Hassan Reddick walked on at Temple, and he left as a first-round pick. Nebraska's fine with taking a guy who's under the radar as long as he checks those other boxes. One last thing I want to share, because there was some confusion over the Matt Rhule tweet when he said, "Oh my God, they really messed up." Greg Sharp pointed out that that was in reference to 3-star running back Kewan Lacy from Texas, who was crystal balled to Ole Miss right before he announced that he'd be going to Nebraska. Not a big deal, but Rhule knows how to get attention and spark conversation, which was one of the biggest selling points for a coach like Lane Kiffin. If you have the platform to pick up attention and market your program, you better be doing it. And this staff's made it a strong point to stay on social media and keep things interesting. And a note about Lacy, he has offers from Bama, Ohio State, Michigan, and more. So the fact that they were able to pull him away from Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss after Ole Miss just showed what they can do for running backs with Quinshawn Judkins last year says a lot, and it sends a clear message about the future. And the next priority recruit on the board to watch for is Grant Brix from Iowa. He's the number 1 interior lineman in the country, and he's probably going to end up at Kansas State, OU, or Nebraska. So fingers crossed that they pull that dude in, because he'd be a massive grab and another nice FU to Iowa. I'll be out of town for the next couple weeks, but once I'm home, we're only going to be 45 days out from game 1. So I'm going to go live to talk about Phil Steele's predictions for this season, because I read this magazine every year. It's super thorough. It's got a ton of insight, and yeah, I just want to go go through it on a live stream, so I think that'd be fun. So look out for that in mid-July. But I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comments below. Is Carter Nelson a bigger pickup than Wan'Dale Robinson was back in 2019? Will there be another 4-star commit in this class, or are you expecting things to slow down? And where do you think they'll rank nationally when everyone signs in December? I'm predicting 22nd as of today, but anything can happen if they were to make a bowl game. But that's all I've got for you today, so thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Go Big Red.